Hello everyone. This is going to be a quick tutorial on how to deinterlace your footage in OBS and why it matters. So, if you're capturing standard definition video, that would be 240p or 480i, and keep in mind that 240p is a function of 480i, these images are interlaced. What does that mean? The image, simply put, is not processed all at the same time. Unlike progressive images like 480p, 720p, 1080p, etc. The P stands for progressive. All the image is processed at once. So, if you transfer an interlaced image into a progressive image, so streaming and the like, you're going to get a pretty nasty thing called combing. And this combing artifact, generally speaking, doesn't look that great. Because keep in mind, modern displays such as your phones, laptops, tablets, etc. are progressive. Interlaced televisions are like CRTs, the old tube TVs. So not only would this affect retro games such as Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games, certain PlayStation games, but it also applies to VHS tapes, Laserdiscs, beta, whatever. So let's see what this looks like, this combing artifact with Wind Waker on GameCube. This is being output through S-Video. Now pay attention to the sword in motion. You'll see these horizontal lines appear. Pause the video if you need time to see it. But it's generally agreed that this doesn't look so good. So, what do you do about it? Well, right-click on your capture card source and notice the deinterlace tab. You have a bunch of different options. I'm not going to go over what each of them do. There's different techniques of deinterlacing. But the key things to see is that you could either deinterlace starting from the top or the bottom. And there's a few main options. There's retro, blend, linear, additive, and then these 2x modes depend on, well, the image that you're outputting, blah, 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 blah. Experiment and you'll see what they do. Now, retro is typically done for 240p content, NES games, SNES games, certain PlayStation games, so on and so forth, because these are 240p sources. However, games that are 480i, like Wind Waker, will look pretty bad with this setting. As you'll see right here, the image is flickering. It's not designed for this. It's not designed for this kind of content whatsoever. Because even though 240p is a function of 480i, they're not exactly the same as far as video processing is concerned. So instead of doing retro for a game like Wind Waker, it'd be better to use something like blend, linear, or additive. Now again, it really does depend game to game. For a game like Silent Hill, which alternates between 240p and 480i, I actually use the option blend. That tends to give me the best results. However, for games like Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, I use additive. I used to use linear for those games, but it actually would add a kind of a blurry look to the text that wasn't very attractive, but additive solved my problems. However, I didn't realize that until I experimented. It's very key to experiment. I'm not really sure what the best looking output for deinterlacing looks for Wind Waker, but this definitely looks a bit better than the retro, wouldn't you agree? And instead of that combing, we're going to see sort of a horizontal refresh as the sword spins, and not those horizontal combs that we saw before. So to review, right-click your source, go to deinterlacing. Here are your options. Depending on whether it's a 240p source, which you would typically use retro for, or a 480i source, you'll choose the option that's best for you. I will say that I have not found a game that looks good with this card, but maybe that exists. looks pretty cruddy to me, but again, there's all kinds of games. Some may look good with this card. I'm not sure. It all depends on your use situation and the game you're using and the console, etc., etc. However, a lot of people starting out and trying to record retro games and standard definition footage don't realize deinterlacing is a thing, and then their footage looks kind of cruddy, at least to some eyes, including my own. I mean, I was a victim of this when I started, so don't worry about it. It's not inherently obvious when you start that this is an option and this could help you. Just be aware that the option's there and that you can use it to make your footage look better for streaming and recording footage. So thank you for watching. This was a basic overview. There's much more detailed information online on deinterlacing, how it works, and the methods of deinterlacing, as well as how to do with Americ TV. I showed it through OBS because that's a typical way of showing footage. But be aware that this is just one resource. I wanted to give a very basic overview for people who happen to watch this video. So thank you for watching, and I hope you record great footage. Take care.